Before people started negotiating with terrorists, before the word Boko Haram was born and became widespread, was a woman named Aisha, who was later known as Mama Boko Haram. She facilitated the release of a lot of people captured by the Boko Haram group, aid in negotiation, and brought peace to certain parts that were troubled in Borno and Maiduguri. This is the story of Aisha Alkali Wakil, also known as Mama Boko Haram. Aisha was an Igbo woman born in the southeast of Nigeria, Enugu State to be precise. She was born into a devoted Christian family and was deep into the Catholic practice. She was always reading her Bible, praying for hours, and living a life centered on Christian devotion. But destiny would take her far from home. In the late 1980s, Aisha went to the north to study law in the University of Maiduguri. And this was a bustling northern Nigerian city, several states away from her hometown. And it was in this city that she met Wakil Ghana Wakil, a Kanuri Muslim man. He was respected, kind, and deeply grounded in his own traditions. Their connection was powerful and personal. It was love at first sight. When they married in late 1990s, Aisha made a decision that would alter her life. She converted to Islam. And this was not a decision made out of coercion, but out of respect for the man that she had chosen to spend the rest of her life with. And as part of her transformation, she adopted a new name and she went by Aisha. Educated and articulated, Aisha maintained an open door policy. She opened her door to literally everybody, and this was how she was able to come in contact with these young boys that were in the community. Young boys from poor families ate in her house. They ate from her pot and they most times slept in her home. She helped them with schools. For some that had nowhere to go, she gave them a roof over their head. And as at that time, they were not known as Boko Haram terrorists. They were just young, innocent boys trying to survive the day. But then Boko Haram was born, and most of these young, innocent boys were recruited, some by force, some willingly, to join the Boko Haram movement. And suddenly, most of these young boys Aisha was fed picked up guns. Their lives changed. They were brainwashed beyond what she could imagine. But even at that, they still called her Mama. Mama Boko Haram never denied knowing them. In fact, she admitted to it publicly that these were just innocent boys being recruited for people's evil agenda. She said she knew their families, their real name, their deep fears, and their regrets. And in a world where nobody trusted anyone, Aisha had something a lot of people would dream of. What she had was access. Access to these Boko Haram camps, access to these boys. As at when they had been recruited, they still call her from time to time to check up on her. And because of this, she became a negotiator between the Nigerian government and the terrorists. She spoke to fighters, she spoke to commandants, she spoke to families, and at a time spoke to the government. And that's when the nickname appeared, Mama Boko Haram, whispered at first and then splashed across headlines. Not because she led the group, not because she financed them, but because she was a mother figure to men the nation feared. By 2013, her unusual influence earned her a seat on the Presidential Dialogue Committee, exploring negotiation with Boko Haram. She argued that bullets alone could not end the war, that ideology, poverty, and broken homes had to be addressed. She claimed she helped negotiate releases. She claimed she convinced fighters to surrender. She claimed she was saving lives. But critics asked a dangerous question. How close is too close? In 2016, the Nigerian military declared her wanted, alleging that she had information about the kidnapped schoolgirls. But Aisha was surprised. She came out publicly and asked why the Nigerian military would declare her wanted. Even though they knew their house, they knew where she stayed. She was that plain and that open. She turned herself in, and after interrogation, she was released. No terrorism charges were filed, but the suspicion never left. After a few years in the spotlight, Aisha reinvented herself again, but this time as a humanitarian. She became the CEO of Complete Care and Aid Foundation, an NGO claiming to provide relief in conflict-affected regions. On paper, it looked legitimate, but under the books, this was beyond what we all know. Between 2020 and 2025, the EFCC dismantled Aisha Wakil's public image piece by piece. Aisha and two associates were convicted of collecting 71.4 million naira for being supplied contract that never happened, and she was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment with no fine. In 2024, there was another conviction, and it was the same pattern as the first. Fake contract, not delivering on promises made, and she was sentenced to another 5 years in prison. But the heaviest blow that shook her and kept her behind bars till date was a fake X-ray machine contract. She allegedly took money for this contract and refused to deliver, and she was sentenced to 14 years in prison, and she's currently still serving time. Now here is the haunting part. The woman who once said she wanted to rehabilitate killers was undone by deception, greed, and trust abuse. Her conviction had nothing to do with Boko Haram and everything to do with money. Yet, history will never separate the two.